Hello everyone, welcome to the news desk on the eve of the Pro Tour. Rich with Randy here to set the standard scene. And Randy, it really is the most wonderful time of the year.
God, big rotations are just, yeah, it's awesome. Bunch of cards leave standard, bunch of new cards come into standard, and then all bets are off. Let's find out what's good. We get to find out. Now, the Pro Tour is here, it's time to find out what the good decks actually are.
Now, obviously, we hype the new cards, we're all excited about the new set, but not everything left standard. There are plenty of things still here. So why don't we start with some of the familiar cards that are going to carry on, we think, being familiar here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got a whole year worth of cards that are very good. We've still got Siege Rhino in the mix. Although, interestingly, I don't actually think Siege Rhino is anywhere near as good as he was last year, because there's no Elspeth and there's no Thoughtseize. Like, not having Elspeth as that, 6 mana trump for whatever your opponent is doing, that's a huge loss. And without Thoughtseize, it's not as compelling to splash black in your green and white deck either. So, I mean, Siege Rhino is around and it's still a very good Magic card, but I actually think Mantis Rider is going to be that sort of 3-colored creature that becomes omnipresent that you kind of get a little bit sick and tired of seeing across the table from you.
Well, it's very, very, very efficient. We gave them a very one for each of the colors.
There you go, that works. And then the really interesting thing is I think the decks are now able to take Mantis Rider and the card next to it on that slide of Crackling Doom. They overlap by 2 colors, but you can play 4 colors a lot easier now than you could last year. So that's definitely a thing that's definitely going to happen.
Now, is that going to be for want of a better term, a Mardu deck? Is it going to be red, white, black, and then little bits of other things, or which is the color there that's kind of the surprise, if you like?
It's a Jeskai deck splashing black.
Okay.
You're going to wind up, you want to play Mantis Rider on turn 3, you want to play Jace on turn 2 in that deck. You got your burn to kill their creatures, got your Dig Through Time sitting at the top of the curve, but just a little bit of black mana because Crackling Doom is just an amazing removal spell right now. So it's really a Jeskai deck splashing for Crackling Doom.
Okay, and then at the end, an iconic, not Planeswalker, kind of.
Baby Planeswalker.
Legendary creature, human wizard, Jace, Vryn's Prodigy.
He's pretty good.
We're going to see plenty of Jace?
We're going to see plenty of Jace in all Magic formats for all time, I think.
Okay. So,
is it a Magic format today?
Yes.
All right, we're going to see Jace.
Fair. All right, so they are still here. What else is around at the moment?
Yeah, you've got this Den Protector Deathmist Raptor combo, the sort of Megamorph deck. Anytime you see Megamorph in the name of a deck, it usually means it's got both of these cards in it. It's so much value, and it gives you the ability to just grind out these incremental advantages where, I flip my Den Protector to regrow the thing I needed. I get my Deathmist Raptors back. And the longer the game goes, the farther ahead you get with these just incremental advantages, incremental advantages, incremental advantages. That's just it's a powerful strategy in a game of Magic.
So you've kind of put those two together. They're both green. The next two, Abbot of Carol Keep.
You think those go together too?
They might do, mightn't they?
Martin Dang will have a thing or two to say about that. Yoel Larson. We've had 2 Pro Tours in a row that have been won by red beatdown decks.
Right.
It could go 3 straight. The Atarka's Command decks, Atarka Red, whatever you want to call it, those decks are very good. They're still fast. They still have an aggressive curve. They've got removal spells. And the thing is, their mana's even better now than it was last year. The fact that green splash, it's not just, wow, I hope I draw a green source so I can cast this Atarka's Command. It's more like, you know what? These fetch lands, I could delve Become Immense. I could have 2 or 3, maybe I could have 4 copies of Become Immense and the Atarka's Commands in my red deck.
Well, we had plenty of 3 and 4 color references in our a moment ago, and then we sort of come down to 1 and maybe 1.5/2. Let's finish with none. Hangarback Walker.
Yeah, it's just good. I mean, it's just very, very good. It's good enough that you're going to see people bending the removal around the fact that they expect to run into lots and lots of Hangarback Walkers. So even when you're not seeing Hangarback Walker, you're going to see things like Silk Wrap suddenly. It almost feels like Silk Wrap was in the new set. But no, it's been around. It's just now that Hangarback Walker and people are looking for ways to deal with creatures and sort of get them off the battlefield without necessarily killing them. Hangarback Walker's causing a lot of shenanigans like that.
All right. Now, last time I checked, there were still 5 colors in Magic, but what you don't always get is the ability to play 3, 4, and 5. Often you are constrained and you play 1 or 2. That's all about mana base. This set, all about the mana.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell we're going back to Zendikar. It is lands, lands, lands. The interaction between the fetch lands and the battle lands is amazing. Cinderglade, Prairie Stream, that whole cycle. You get to build these mana bases that can just reliably cast 4-mana spells, or reliably cast triple colored spells. Archangel of Tides, whatever you want to do, you can do it. Pick the spells you want to play with. You can build a mana base that will reliably cast them, and that's just not normally true, especially in Standard.
Right, and it's also not something that you have to pay extortionate amounts of life for.
No.
This is not a format where burn decks think of you as starting on 12 or 14. We're not going to pay lots of life for this.
You do have to pay a little bit of time. Pay a little bit of life to the fetch lands and a little bit of time. Like, being able to order it so that all of your lands come into play untapped is tricky and can't always be done. I mean, you often get these hands where it's like the puzzle, like, all right, how do I want to drop Jace on turn 2 and then Mana Strider and then have Crackling Doom available. It's usually doable, but the order in which you get those lands out can be tricky, and often you are going to be playing some comes into play tap lands, and that's what the red deck is going to take advantage of. Not the life, but the time.
Okay, and despite that 4 and 5 color mana bases, you've also got room in the format for things like Shambling Vent and Lumbering Fools.
Yeah, having a couple nice new creature lands to play with. Creature lands that tap for 2 different colors of mana are just great. I mean, they were great in Worldwake. They're great once again. Those are just going to be cards that you see floating around people's mana bases and attacking and killing folks.
All right, let's have the fun bit. What are the new toys in Battle for Zendikar?
Yeah, lots. In addition to all of those lands, Gideon, I believe, the ally of Zendikar, is going to be the most played card from Battle for Zendikar. And you can start having conversations about what else, but there's all kinds of cool stuff. Converge is a thing. Both Radiant Flames and Bring to Light take advantage of the new Converge mechanic. That's definitely a thing you're going to see. Dragon Master Outcast is kind of hanging out too. Like, you get a lot of these grindy decks that are just incremental advantage. The game lasts a little while. If there's not one of those Atarka red decks involved in the game, you're going to get to 6 mana. And like, having a 1-mana creature that can just spit out dragons is kind of exciting. You want to know what's even more exciting? Getting it back from the graveyard with Ojutai's command.
Oh boy.
On turn 6.
So
bing, dragon. Yeah, good times.
So of those, look, we know that Gideon Ally of Zendikar is out there. We know there are many copies of that Planeswalker sitting in deck boxes ready to go tomorrow. This is not news. Of the other 4, if you could put a deck that really takes advantage of one of those 4 into the top 8 for Sunday, so I'll give you a slot in the top 8 right now for a deck that uses either Bring to Light or Radiant Flames or Drana or Dragon Master Outcast, which would you take straight to Sunday?
I mean, am I choosing for entertainment
For
value?
fun,
or
yeah.
Entertainment. I want to see if Bring to Light is really a thing. Like, Bring to Light, it's just the idea that for 5 mana, I can cast basically any spell in my deck. I like being able to build that toolbox. I think that that's just a cool take on Magic. It doesn't resemble the other decks in Standard. I hope that that's a real thing. This is what it's always like at the beginning of the first Pro Tour after big rotation, right? We don't really know what's going to come up. Like, we know kind of what's done well at a couple of Open Series events, but is that really the metagame? Probably not. Like, there's going to be some new stuff this weekend. There's going to be some cards that I haven't put on slides that show up and have a big impact, and now we get to find out which ones they'll be.
And by the time you see this, it will be time for the Standard rounds here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.